Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Cliff Weitzman and I'm the CEO of Speechify. Speechify is a 100-person company that's used by more than 10 million people around the world. We use narrow applications of deep learning to help you listen to anything, whether it be websites, PDFs, or physical books. And today, we're going to talk about a topic that I found very fascinating for the past many years, which is cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and Ethereum. For the sake of this video, none of this is investment advice. I'm not an investment professional. These are my own philosophical thoughts. Do as you will, but do not take any of my financial advice. I started paying some of my teammates at Speechify with Bitcoin in 2016. That was around the time I bought my first Trezor and started getting involved in the space. I'm going to share with you some of my unique perspectives on cryptocurrencies because they are actually relatively uncommon. Let's start with talking about, what is Bitcoin, what is Ethereum, and why are they important? For the longest time, I was a skeptic. I am a person who generally believes that large institutions can be safe, but they are slow. Today, the way the financial system works, in the United States at least, is you have the US dollar, which is a promise by the United States government that they will back that value. For the longest time, it was backed by gold. It isn't any longer. It's backed by the strength of America. Here's one very interesting thing about the strength of America. It is a system that is too big to fail. And at the end of the day, the thing that really backs the US dollar is the strength of the US military. It's actually physical force at the end of the day, which is something most people don't realize. There are situations where a country owes the United States some amount of capital, and the United States will just seize their navy and just take those ships into the United States. That's it. As markets have fluctuated over the last couple of years, I've had to answer the question for myself, do I keep my money in USD? Do I keep my money in the public stock market? Or do I hold some percentage of it in Bitcoin and Ethereum? And at the end of the day, it made sense to hold a fair amount in crypto. And I'll explain why. Number one, Bitcoin and Ethereum have the growth profile of a startup company. What do I mean by that? They grow at an exponential rate. They grow faster than most stocks do, and definitely more than inflation or an investment in real estate would. However, they fluctuate up and down really quickly. The one benefit that they have compared to a startup company is you have a perfectly liquid position. You can exit in and out of Bitcoin, in and out of Ethereum instantly. Well, you can't do that for a startup. And at the same time, a startup can fail and can succeed, same fluctuation profile. The difference is that, Bitcoin now has billions in market cap, and the probability of it 100% failing is small. More than likely, it ends up succeeding. And so the rule of thumb that I've known for many years is invest 1% of net worth in crypto, whether it be Bitcoin or Ethereum. As the space has gotten more mature, I've ended up shifting this thought process to, depending on who you are, you might even want to invest up to 30% of net worth into crypto and Ethereum. Unless you are a deep expert in the field and you are regularly reading white papers, you have some sort of background that makes you knowledgeable about blockchain, I would not recommend day trading or betting on specific projects. If you are a layman investor, I would just put some amount. I recommend doing 70% in Ethereum, 30% in Bitcoin, and if you can, stake some of your Ethereum to the foundation so you can get interest on it. So Bitcoin has the growth profile of a startup, but it lets you switch in and out of your positions in a perfectly liquid manner. That's a very unique investment asset. The next things that are really valuable about it is actually the fact that it is decentralized. When you have a centralized organization with one governing force, the opportunity for bias creeps in. So the United States will increase or decrease inflation according to what is most beneficial for the US government, not necessarily what is most beneficial for you. And so it makes sense to have an asset that is decentralized because you remove a lot of that bias. It also makes sense to have some of your capital in USD, some of your capital either in real estate or public stocks, and some of it in Bitcoin or Ethereum, because that way you are spreading out your risk. And when this goes up, this might go down, and it means that you are in a more safe position overall. As the communities have gotten more mature, you now have Coinbase as a publicly traded company, as well as other very successful projects, the likelihood of the entire cryptocurrency space going to zero becomes less and less. What we are missing right now is good technologies that make crypto and Ethereum useful on a day-to-day basis. It's still easier for me to send money to my friends via Venmo. It still makes more sense to check out process with my credit card via Visa, but with time, that is likely to change. What is extremely smart as smart contracts that you can make with Ethereum that allow you, for example, to say, hey, I'm going to rent this property. You can click one button, let's see on Airbnb, and automatically there's an Ethereum contract that will pull money out of your account and into my account to pay rent. The idea of having code and cash be interchangeable is a very good one, and it just makes a lot of sense for the future. It also makes money into something that appears almost more like a natural phenomenon than something that is man-made. It gives very clear rules for how we should follow a financial system that allows us to regulate contracts. What type of companies and industries will benefit the most from crypto. The more capital changes hands, the more the industry can benefit. So for example, the real estate industry has a lot to benefit. Obviously, the financial industry has a lot to benefit. The banking industry has a lot to benefit. Really, the biggest value props are security, ease, and trust. Any industry that requires those three things has a lot to gain. So one question I get a lot is, how do I vet, signal from the noise when it comes to crypto? So there's a couple of things that I would recommend. Number one is read. Pick the top 5 books about, really any 5 books about the space. It'll just make you a more informed person. Identify, 3 or 4 people online that you think are very credible and not biased, and follow what they have to say. If you are starting, steer clear of playing at the very cutting edge things that are just coming out. Instead, figure out things that are already a little bit more established and take the view of a long-term investor as opposed to a short-term investor. The other thing that I would most strongly recommend is do not make any investments based on the opinions of others or the crowd. Make investments based on first principles that you think make sense. So the moment when I started going a lot more heavy on crypto is when my opinions shifted that it was more secure. It was around the time too that the US government had fumbled a bunch of things that made me think, you know what, the United States has been around for 300 years. One of the best inventions that they made is, the centralized bank in the United States. Go Alexander Hamilton. But the world is becoming more international. It makes sense to have a currency that is independent of a specific government. And so the probability of Bitcoin and Ethereum being successful in the long term is pretty high. So it makes sense for me to invest some percent of net worth in those assets. Cool, so quick conclusion. Crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum are all very powerful technologies that are worthwhile keeping track of. When you try to decide where to invest, if to invest at all, make sure that you do it based on first principles, your own research, writing out, literally write out your own thesis. Don't do it just based on the fact that other people are doing it or that you listen to some random idiot talking about it online. And think not only about, is this likely to succeed, but how likely it is to succeed and when is it going to succeed. And overall, it's very, very exciting what these technologies have the opportunity to do. So if you do want to read more white papers, use Speechify. Click the link below to get Speechify for iPhone, Android, iPad, Chrome extension. This is how I've learned everything that I know about crypto. I just go around the internet and I click play on blog posts that I find really fascinating, and I just listen. The most important thing in all of this is to make your own opinion. And the only way to do that is to read and understand. And it turns out when you read with your eyes and listen with your ears, you increase your speed, you increase your comprehension, you increase your retention, and you end up making better decisions. And with that, hit the subscribe button so other people can find videos like this. Hit us with a like, leave a comment, share it with somebody if you think they'll find it useful. Check out some of the other videos on the channel. And as always, happy listening.